Well, guys, here is one of my videos that I technically want to actually get into. I think that you guys will find it a little bit different here with terms of games and stuff like that, which will also be discussed on our later podcast coming in a couple months. But without further ado, we can get into it. It does seem like Ubisoft is doing super well, and it seems like Ubisoft is doing quite unfortunate. Now, we all kind of know that video games in general has been going down recently, not really in a positive note, and honestly has gone in a more negative side. I think more of these games that I would want to say indie companies are surpassing AAA games or doing even marginally better, and some companies, like with companies from like Splitgate, will come out and spend their hundreds of millions of dollars to make their own AAA type of game. So I think this is kind of the age where AAA games are not going to be, kings for very much longer and kind of be just shriveling out. Says the Ubisoft cancels 3 more games, issued dire update. Video game giant Ubisoft today announced project cuts and lowered its estimated operating income for the current year by $1 billion. Why it matters. The company blamed microeconomic conditions, suggesting other game companies might struggle with similarity. But the cuts are part of a longer decline for Ubisoft that suggests continued dysfunction at the previously hot publisher of Assassin's Creed. Details. Ubisoft managers said they were canceling 3 unannounced games, in addition to 4 canceled last July. Net bookings, which encompass game sales, downloadable content purchases, and other transactions, were expected to decline 10% for the year, rather than show 10% growth as previously forecasted. Ubisoft is looking for nearly $200 million in cost savings over the next 2 years through target restructuring, divesting some non-core assets, and usual natural attrition. According to a company press release, a Ubisoft rep tells Axios that workers on the canceled games will shift to other projects. It also delayed March's Skull and Bones to early in its next fiscal year, which starts in April. The Pirates game has been publicly delayed several times since its 2017 debut. What they're saying, we're clearly disappointed by our recent performance. Ubisoft CEO Gilliman told investors today in a call that was announced 20 minutes before. Gilliman and CFO Frederick Duguid said that inflation was giving some gamers pause and maintained that Ubisoft for the 2022 holiday season, namely Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, have been heavily marketed and well reviewed. They said a reluctance by consumers to spend was most evident in the casual and mobile sectors of their business. Yes, but Ubisoft has had a conspicuously fall run over the last 2 years. It has downshifted from releasing one or more massive open-world hits each fall to now going through 2 straight holiday seasons, with just October 21's Far Cry 6 as its long, big-budget, multi-platform premium release. I think one of the other things, too, as well, why you guys may not be doing well is I've seen some games, as of recent, reach $70 in terms of actual pricing. And this is not really acceptable. A lot of people don't really want to pay $70 for a video game, and that's going to push people away. I know the inflation and the way the economy is pushing people away from that and not wanting to deal with that type of, or not going to want to get some certain purchases, but people will save some money for a couple games here and there throughout the year. The bigger problem is that when some companies push to $70, well, a lot of people are not going to buy that. And I'm in one of those boats. I don't really want to buy a $70 game unless I know it's going to be worth it. And what we've seen mostly from these AAA companies, usually what ends up happening is they end up having a lot of bugs, or any other type of issues that are just not great. Or the game just feels unfinished, which is 90% of the time. So most people probably won't even want to spend the $70 for an unfinished game. That's our problem here. And I think if we make it back down to $40, $60, you can still make your purchases quite well and still make a reapable benefit. I understand that in some cases that the prices of games have gone up, and we may have to tackle that at another point to where it is. But I think that these companies may make actually more enough for their profits if they just simply completed games. And they're not doing that. And that's part of the problem. It goes on to say that Ubisoft delays Skulls and Bones and cancels more games and announces new cuts. again, this is kind of a little bit similarly to what it is. Ubisoft held an emergency call with investors on Wednesday to reveal that the company's 2022 sales had fallen well below expectations, and that it would be taking drastic measures going forward, including canceling 3 more announced games, delaying Skull and Bones a few months yet again, and cutting roughly $450 million in costs over the next 2 years, with some of the savings coming from a smaller headcount at 220,000 per person publisher. And honestly, I want to say that a lot of these cases is that I think that people are happy about this. I don't think anybody really likes that much to do with Ubisoft anymore, and I don't think a lot of people really respect AAA games anymore. And what's to blame them? They release very poor content. They don't really spend very much love to the game, and it just fails. They seem to fail over and over and over again. It was pushed at the last minute of March of 2023 to improve and polish the gameplay in response to tester feedback. In recent months, Kotaku understands that a strike team has been set up in Ubisoft's Paris studio to try and get the game over the finish line. However, the company maintains that Ubisoft Singapore remains the lead studio on the project. While Skull and Bones is now complete, we are using the remaining time until launch to leverage feedback from our ongoing technical tests and upcoming open beta to polish and balance the experience. A spokesperson for Ubisoft told Kotaku in an email, "To fully deliver on this launch, we are leveraging the full power of co-developing studios already involved in the development process, including Ubisoft Paris Studio. Ubisoft Singapore remains the lead studio on Skull and Bones, and the team is working full speed on the game experience and the development of its robust post-launch content." Though Gilmar told investors during today's call that the project has been making great progress, it will now launch this spring. It has clearly not made enough to finally ship, coming upon 6 years after it was first revealed. I think the other issue is as well, they need the game to actually do well. Because I don't think if the game doesn't do well and it performs poorly, which is highly the case, then they're not going to be doing super well financially at all, and it's going to be a huge letdown, which will also lead to more people not want to purchase their games because the game just didn't do well. People have been waiting, like I said, 6+ years for this game to come out, and unfortunately, it's not here, and it's going to be delayed till technically the spring again. This is not good. Ubisoft says it has canceled 3 unannounced projects and will now focus on its biggest brands, falling slower than expected sales, notably Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, and Just Dance 2023. For those wondering what Ubisoft's brands are, it specifically mentions Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, and Tom Clancy's The Division. But here's the thing, not a lot of people are buying Tom Clancy's The Sixth Division, and from what I could tell, Rainbow Six Siege has not been doing particularly very well. I do know that me and my friend quit quite a while ago due to the actual downfall of the game, and even covering it, a lot of people, even pro players, complained about how the game was functioning. And I don't want to say that might be their mainstay games and probably their biggest brands, but if that's the case, then that's not good. Because their brands have specifically been going down a lot, and they haven't been addressing any of the problems. Now, granted, this is coming from my point of view for about a year ago, so it could have increased since then. But from what I can tell, a lot of these things seem to be going in the right direction. It's kind of similar to League, power creep, and other issues that they just don't address. And this spike from Pingy sales, keep in mind, Ubisoft went from no free-to-play games to suddenly having Hyperspace Escape, The Division Heartland, X Deviant, Ghost Recon Frontline, Roller Champions, multiple unannounced free-to-play titles in development. How much time and resources were wasted on radical free-to-play development shift? Yeah, free-to-play is good, but if the game is not great, then it's not going to do as well either. These games, I don't even see this being good. And of course, Ubisoft's, I would want to say their whole stock is plummeting. It's doing horrible. Now, of course, if you go to today, it's obviously up a slight bit amount compared to 5 months ago. But even if you go to 5 days, it's still going down. It's not really increasing. And if you want to go to a year ago, it's really plateaued all the way down. This is not good for Ubisoft, and I think we might see the downfall of Ubisoft coming in the next couple of years if they don't fix their stuff. It's interesting to say the least that what will be happening in the gaming industry. because I don't think this will be going super well for them, and we'll see what it comes, but it doesn't look good. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.